to the story of the Players' Championship. We begin, Zach, with 3 rounds this afternoon of Cube. So what is Cube?
Now, Cube is a limited format composed of some of the best Magic cards ever made. Now, it's a Highlander format, meaning that any given pack, any given draft, you're only going to see one of each individual card. What that does is contribute tremendously to the diversity of the format while letting you play with some of the best cards from all throughout Magic's history.
Okay, so there's no 4-step links in a deck.
Exactly.
Okay. And we have our 16 players in 2 separate pods. They play their 3 rounds within their pod. So again, you will only play just like a regular booster draft that you would play on Magic Online or at FNM and so on. So that's format 1. Then, played by Swiss pairing, so you play against people on the same record as yourself, we go into Modern. What's Modern?
Modern is a tournament where basically, more or less, you can play with any card with a new card face. That's not strictly speaking true, but it gets most of it. Basically, any card from 8th edition forward, with certain cards being banned. But the idea is to play cards literally from the modern era of Magic.
Sure.
And
Okay.
yeah, we've seen a lot of the decks in action at the World Magic Cup just a couple weeks ago.
All right, so that takes us to the end of day 1. They come back tomorrow. Once again, they'll be seeded into 2 draft pods of 8, but this time it's not the best of all time, it's the best of right now, M13.
And Magic 2013 is the set that's out right now. We've had numerous big limited events. We just had a Grand Prix last week with Magic 2013. It's the most recent set, and it's the set that you can draft online as we speak.
All right, so we'll get lots of tips from the best in the business there, and then the last 3 rounds, it's back to Modern. Now, the players get 1 pro point for every match win. So even if you're down at, 3 and 7 with 2 rounds to go, and you know that top 4 is gone, because that's what we cut to on Friday, you're still playing for pro points, and you know full well, pro points are a huge deal in terms of, are you silver, are you gold, or are you one of the stratosphere guys, the platinum pros?
And that's exactly right. I mean, hitting each one of those thresholds is such a huge difference to you as a player. It can mean on the order of tens of thousands of dollars, and Rich, every single pro point counts. And that's one of the exciting things about this tournament. Like you said, if you're in the middle of the pack, this is no more, oh, okay, we're going to try and concede to see who can get in. We're not going to look at pairings. You want to win every match here at the Players' Championship.
Okay. Now, the 4 players who win the most number of matches across 12 rounds, both today and tomorrow, will then advance to Friday play, and that's semi-finals and final. Again, that's Modern. They get 2 pro points for each win there. So potentially, someone goes 10 and 2 and then wins on Friday. That's 14 pro points, which is just a huge bump to your season. Pretty much, you're guaranteeing, for someone of this caliber, you're guaranteeing sort of platinum right there.
Exactly.
All right, but who are the 16? Well, a lot of them will be familiar to you, but perhaps their storylines won't. So what we've done is we've imagined forward to Friday and imagined what would it mean for each of these players if they win the whole thing. So let's take a look up on the plasma screen, and we begin with Paulo Vitor Dama da Rosa, Brazil. There's the 24-year-old, top pro points in Latin America. What would his storyline be? Here it comes. Cementing greatness. Paulo has 9 Pro Tour top 8s. He has 1 win. He's already in the top 5 players of all time easily. But if he wins here against the best of the best, this is his claim to say, you know what, maybe I'm going to be heading up towards number 1. And when we look back on Magic history and we see perhaps that he is the best player of all time, well, cementing greatness is what he could do this weekend. Zach, who you got?
Right after Paulo comes Reed Duke, a Magic Online superstar at 22, the youngest player here at this event. What's his story? Showing he belongs. Now, what that means is 2 different things. First of all, as the youngest player, here in a room full of Magic's all-time greats, he has to show that he is here to compete and that he belongs in this tournament just like anybody else. The other element of that is showing that he doesn't just succeed in Magic Online. Playing in a real tournament in a room with people with spotlights shining down on you on the stage is a totally different experience from playing it from the comfort of your living room. And we're going to see if Reed can handle the pressure of this tournament today.
Okay, well, from Reed Duke we go to Italy and Samuele Estrati, the Pro Tour Philadelphia winner. He's smiling there. Here's his headline, Fun and Winning. Now, you all know Usain Bolt with his kind of, oh, that sign. Well, Estrati, with this, the famous picture, he'd love it if everyone at FNM when they won a match was like, He loves fun, but he also loves winning. And a lot of people have been deceived by Estrati in the last 18 months, in particular since his win. People are going, it's modern. Well, I don't know. Maybe he's just lucky. He isn't. He's really, really good. This would be fun and winning. Let's move on.
Speaking of players that are really good, we're taking a look at Jon Finkel with this brick of titles so long I can't even read it. What's his story today? Best of the best. Jon Finkel is in the conversation every single year as one of the best players of all time. He has been for as long as I've been playing Magic. But what's different from being the best of all time is being the best player active right now. Jon has 2 Pro Tour top 8s this season, a ton of momentum coming into this tournament. This is he can prove once and for all who the best in the game is.
I can tell you the players are getting ready for the first draft, but we will belt through the rest of the field. Who have we got? Alexander Hayne, the Avacyn Restored winner. It's no miracle. He won with Miracle off the top, and people have been a little bit chary about him winning in that way. But there are no miracles at this tournament. If Hayne wins, he's just delivering the goods as one of the best of all time, and certainly one of the best Canadians of all time. Zach, who's next?
Speaking of being the best, you got the reigning world champion, Junya Ianaga. What's his story? The world at his feet. Now again, this is the world champion. This is a man that has traveled a lot, but we've seen him tick down his involvement in Magic as of late. We didn't even know if he was going to be able to make this tournament, but he showed up. He's very well prepared. We're going to see if he can win it all today.
All right, Martin User is your next man. His headline is this: more than consistent. He's incredibly consistent. He's a wonderful player, but 13 Grand Prix top 8s, 2 Pro Tour top 8s, maybe he doesn't quite have the titles that you would expect. Right. And this is a field where he doesn't spend 14 rounds getting to the top 32 and then maybe finishing 12th, 17th. This is where the hard work starts, in the top 16. So he needs to be more than consistent. Who's next?
We're taking a look at Brian Kibler, one of the most famous players in the game.
There's his headline.
Style and substance. You see him on streams, you see him on media appearances. We had him in for a deck tech earlier. He's always smiling. That's the style. But let's say you took all of that away. Let's say you showed up in a black hoodie to play Magic. 2 Pro Tour wins, one of the very few people on the planet that can say that. In terms of substance, one of the best players in the game, and he can prove that to everyone today.
All right, next up is Su Qing Kuo of Chinese Taipei. Here's his headline. Look at that, Su Qing Kuo, 2 in a row. That rhymes. And last week, he won the World Magic Cup as part of Team Chinese Taipei. What a double header this week would be for him. On we go.
Take one of my favorite players ever, Shuhei Nakamura. What is he looking at? 5,000 reasons.
Wow, what does that mean?
Rich, you explained to me earlier, he's played almost 5,000 sanctioned matches of Magic in his career.
It's crazy.
The Hall of Famer has got more experience than almost anybody. And this would be the culmination of those 5,000 matches, being crowned champion today.
Okay, next we have David Ochoa. His headline: the quiet man speaks loudly. Well, he's from Channel Fireball, and when you're surrounded by some of the big names and the heavy hitters there, you don't get a lot of press. He likes things that way, but there's no hiding place here at the Players' Championship. If he wins, he's going to be on camera round after round after round, and you're going to see just how good the Ocho can be. Next.
Well, speaking of Team Channel Fireball, we've got Luis Scott Vargas. We're going to see today whether he's back on form. Yeah, the leader of Team Channel Fireball, great season last year, but really sort of slowing down his numbers this season with very few big finishes. Now, he did win a World Magic Cup qualifier. What we're going to see today is whether the sort of highs and lows of a very volatile career, whether he's back on top and in prime form today.
All right, next up we have Josh Utter-Layton. Let's take a look at him. You can see that his headline is Out of the Shadows. So tell us about Josh.
About Josh Utter-Layton, I mean, we said Luis is the leader of Team Channel Fireball, but Josh really has been putting up some of the strongest results on the Pro Tour today. 3 top 8s in 2 years, national champion in 2010. If he's not the moral support, the sort of spirit behind Channel Fireball, he's a huge part of the results, and he's going to sort of see if he can can be on him today.
All right, next we have Owen Turtenwald. Now, there are so many titles here, but his headline, Title Defense. This is the man with a title on the line this week. Owen is your reigning player of the year. And at the end of Friday, one of these 16 will be crowned the 2012-2013 season Player of the Year. 15 wanting to take the title away. Owen in title defense mode. Who's next?
We're going to look at Yuya Watanabe.
Okay, so his headline is the biggest stage. 16 Grand Prix top 8s, you can see. Now, that's absurd, especially when you consider he's only 23. This is just a phenomenal record. But Grand Prix and Pro Tours are not the same thing. And bizarrely, beating 2,000 people in Berlin or Boston or Taipei is not sometimes as hard as beating 350 people in Amsterdam or 400 people in New York. And Yu only has one Pro Tour top 8. This is the big stage. So, let's see what he can do. And finally,
Shota Yasaoka, constructed specialist. But today, it's going to be about something else. Unlimited possibilities. Yasaoka, probably the best constructed player in the world if we look at his results in the constructed portions of Pro Tours. Always struggled in limited though, putting up negative results below 50%. With only 3 rounds of booster draft today for M13, and with cube draft being a lot more similar to constructed, this may be his moment to shine.
Okay, so there are your 16 players. I can tell you that draft 1 is ready. It's cube. It features Reed Duke, Su Chin Kuo, Josh Utter-Layton, David Ochoa, Samuel Estrati, Shuhei Nakamura, Luis Scott Vargas, and Alexander Hayne. Buckle up, it's going to be an amazing ride. It's time for the first cube draft of the Players' Championship 2012.